Hey everyone, my name is tomatoanus, also known as the reason why my friends have another group chat, and this is an any % speedrun of the original Demon's Souls. This run is performed by InSilico, the current world record holder for this category, who helped me write the script to make sure it's all as accurate as possible. If you'd prefer to watch this run without commentary or Silico's world record, they're both linked in the description. This is an any % run, so glitches are allowed. If glitches aren't your cup of tea, I've also linked the current any % glitchless record by Soy Paste in the description. Some of you may be wondering why we're covering a run of the original Demon's Souls and not the PS5 remake. While the remake is a really cool speed game, there are a lot of growing pains that it's gone through. Things like patches both adding and removing skips, PlayStation menu warps originally being accessible to only PS Plus members but then being available for all, which caused some leaderboard changes, and just overall the community having a lack of access to the game due to PS5s being so hard to come by. The remake has a lot going for it as a speed game, but right now the routing and strat developments for it have been pretty chaotic due to a lot of factors. Ideally, runs covered on this channel have a bit more of a solidified route and won't be outdated a week after the video is published, so as of right now, the remake is a video for another day, or I guess another year. Something worth noting about Silico's run in this video is that it's performed on the RPCS3 emulator while his record run from 2 years ago is performed on console. This is mainly because Silico didn't have access to his PS3 when he recorded the run, but also because runs done on the RPCS3 emulator are officially recognized and have their own category as well. The game runs really well with this emulator, and the speedrun is identical on PS3 and emulator, except for the emulator having faster loading screens, but that doesn't matter too much since the game is timed in-game time and loading screens aren't counted towards our final time. There's a little more we need to go over before the run starts, but first...
And he doesn't wear any clothes, and he has chainsaws for hands, and he talks kinda like this.
Sounds like our guy.
Oh, and Detective Chester, there was one other thing. He kept talking about Keeps.
Keeps?
Yeah, Keeps. Keeps is a subscription service that helps men keep their hair with clinically proven, research-backed treatments to stop hair loss and improve hair growth. Plus, all their treatment plans are about half the cost of a traditional pharmacy, are doctor recommended, and delivered to your front door. Keeps' network of medical advisors, specialists, and prescribers will help you pick the right products and treatments for you and your hair goals.
But what if my hair goal is no hair?
I mean, that's perfectly valid. Your self-worth isn't tied to your hair or appearance at all. Not having hair doesn't make you any less of a person. Keeps just provides the service for those who do want to keep their hair, and they do a bang-up job at it too. I mean, look at these photos. Speaks for themselves, don't you know?
Whoa, I'd say.
Plus, I didn't even mention that they provide 24/7 care and support, with each plan coming with a full year of unlimited messaging so you can ask your prescribing doctor about anything, anytime.
Wow. How can I get this, Keeps? And what does it stop again?
Hair loss stops with Keeps. To get 50% off your first order, go to keeps.com/tomato or click the link in the description. Again, that's keeps.com/tomato.
Someone say my name. Nope, but I will now. Gavin Beth Chainsaw Hands, you're under arrest for illegally selling firearms to guinea pigs. Sorry, I thought all pigs could have guns, considering you have one. Like I said, there's just a little more that I think we should go over before the run, since Demon's Souls is the From Software game that I think people are likely least familiar with. The way the game is structured is there's a main hub called the Nexus, kind of like the Hunter's Dream in Bloodborne. The Nexus is a hidden temple that our soul is bound to, and the only means we have of leaving is by interacting with one of 5 archstones to travel to one of 5 different regions which serve as the different areas to the game. Each area then has a few archstones in them which serve as checkpoints where we can heal up or travel to and from the Nexus. These checkpoint archstones are assigned numbers starting with 1, based on their order in each area. Each area is then also assigned a number based on the order of their archstones in the Nexus. This means that we can refer to specific locations and levels in the game by their Nexus archstone number and checkpoint number, so like right here would be called 4-3. When you hear numbers like this throughout the run, this is what I'm referring to. So our overall goal is to unbind our soul from the Nexus so that we aren't trapped there, and this is done by defeating the final boss of the game. In order to get to the final boss though, we first need to defeat the final bosses of each of the 5 areas, which are referred to as archdemons. This collective list/grid of levels into archdemons will serve as our checklist of what we have to do in the run to help anyone unfamiliar with the game keep track of how much we've accomplished. That about covers prerequisite info about the game. So to begin the run, Silico chooses to play as the Hunter class so that he can start with the battle axe and longbow. These are 2 of the 3 main weapons we'll use in the run, with the third being a dagger that we'll buy later on. Another thing worth noting is that we start with a few items: a Nexial binding, 10 crescent moongrasses, 10 augites of guidance, and 50 arrows. The Nexial binding were given when we enter the Nexus for the first time when we start the run, and when used, warps us back to the Nexus at the cost of all our souls, which is the currency in this game that you earn for killing enemies. The other items are the starting hunter items, with the crescent moongrasses being a healing item that restores 120 health points, the augites of guidance that are kind of like a roadside flare that are just a marker at our disposal, and the arrows being, well, arrows. After confirming his character, Silico is prompted with playing the Journey to the Nexus, which is an optional tutorial that he says no to since he thinks he can figure out the controls on his own. We then mash start to skip a cutscene and some lore messages, letting us get moving immediately in the Nexus. At the start, we only have the first Archstone unlocked, meaning we start the run by going to 1-1, which is the Boletarian Palace. When we load into 1-1, Silico mashes start again to skip another cutscene so we can get moving right away. Once we finish 1-1, we'll be able to unlock the other Archstones in the Nexus, which really opens up the game in speedrun, but for now, our focus is just 1-1. To finish this part, we need to defeat the first boss, Phalanx. Phalanx is located right behind the huge gate right here, and we need to open said gate to get to the fight. To open the gate, we have to pull a lever that's across the level. As we run there, something that's worth mentioning is that very rarely this level will bug out and make your FPS super choppy for a few seconds and cause a few enemies to not spawn in. It rarely happens, but it's pretty ideal since some enemies that don't spawn are ones that can get in our way. Silico just grabbed some firebombs because Phalanx is weak to fire, so using them will greatly speed up that fight. Something worth noting about this game that isn't in future Souls games is that you slightly move enemies by rolling into them. You'll see this used a handful of times throughout the run to quickly move an enemy out of the way without having to hit or kill them. Rolling into enemies is more common later in the run though, so right now to get them out of the way, we're mostly just whacking them. Not off though. On these stairs is a boulder trap, so Silico rolls at the last possible moment to go straight through the boulder, taking advantage of the invincibility frames, or iframes, of the roll. After going through this fog gate, we're going to drop down a floor, which results in us taking barely any fall damage. Fall damage in this game is way less than the other Souls games, so don't be caught off guard if you haven't played this one before and see us survive some perilous drops. Something worth mentioning is that your character can exist in one of 2 forms, soul form and body form. We start in soul form where we have 50% max HP but silent footsteps, and transition to body form when we kill a boss or use a certain consumable, which then raises our max HP to its true max and gives noise to our footsteps. We then transition back to soul form whenever we die. Here, Silico activates a boulder trap, equips the longbow, unequips the augites, and chases the boulders as they score a perfect 300. Coming up is a pretty annoying and reset heavy point early in the run where we have to run over a long bridge with a bunch of enemies that can block you. The main key to making it across the bridge cleanly is to make sure your stamina is full before starting the bridge section, and then just making sure you strafe around the enemies and roll out of the way if needed. At the end of the bridge is the lever we need to pull, which we immediately follow by skipping the cutscene that plays of us pulling it and the gate opening. Silico is now taking a quick detour to grab some turpentine, which applies 80 fire damage to our weapon for 60 seconds. We swapped off our battle axe to our fists so that we had slightly faster attacks when breaking the tables and boards that were in the way as if we were in the All Valley tournament. Here we get stuck in an impromptu mosh pit in a spot that's a common reset point, but we're able to get past the enemies for only a small bit of time loss. In the next room, Silico spam toggles his right hand weapon so that if he gets hit, the toggling animation overrides and cancels the stagger animation. Here he then drops like 50 stories and is a-okay because again, fall damage in Demon Souls is whack, yo. While waiting for this door to open, Silico heals up a little and uses a turpentine to apply fire damage to his weapon since again, Phalanx is weak to fire. When he crosses the boss fog gate, Silico will look up and run forward and begin hucking firebombs as soon as he hears an audio cue in the boss music, with the goal of them being to land in the center of Phalanx, which kills a lot of hoplites, which are its little blob minions that can heal it. After throwing 4 of our 5 firebombs, we run up to Phalanx and expend all our stamina doing a combo and then throw our 5th firebomb while waiting for our stamina to regen. During this fight, Silico picks up the items that the hoplites drop, hoping that he gets a shard of hardstone since it's the first upgrade material you need if you're going to be upgrading a strength weapon, which, spoiler alert, we'll be doing in this run with our battle axe. If you don't get the item to drop though, you can buy it from an NPC named Filthy Man at the start of the next area we go to, but that loses you around 7 to 8 seconds. Luckily, we got the item right at the end of the fight. After the fight, we're turned into body form and we interact with the archstone that spawned to be brought back to the Nexus, where we'll go right up to Blacksmith Boldwin to buy a dagger. As I mentioned earlier, the dagger is our third main weapon of the run and is the best weapon we can use for the next boss, Flame Lurker. The dagger has a really quick moveset and is not only really good for the Flame Lurker fight, but also good for hitting enemies out of the way. So right now, Silico is running up all these stairs to go and talk to the Monumental and equipped his dagger in the second right hand slot when his stamina got low just now. Talking to the Monumental will trigger a cutscene that we skip and unlock the other 4 archstones in the Nexus, as well as the ability to level up by speaking with the Maiden in Black. Rather than run all the way back down after talking to the Monumental, we're instead going to just use the Nexial binding to forfeit all our souls and return to the Nexus, bringing us back down to the main floor. Now that all the archstones are unlocked, we're free to go to whichever area we please, which leads to some interesting routing decisions that need to be made. This run utilizes a melee-based route, where our main focus will be fighting with our battle axe, so in this run, Silico goes to 2-1 next to get upgrade materials for the axe. In the past, runners used a magic-based route where they'd go to 4-1 now, followed by doing all of the third archstone to unlock magic via an NPC named Sage Freak, but overall, despite having slower boss fights, the melee route is faster thanks to not going on a big detour to rescue the dirty little freak. Silico just broke a cart with his dagger to grab some sticky white stuff, an item whose name we're all going to be mature about in the comments. Sticky white stuff applies 110 magic damage to our weapon for a total of 60 seconds and is an absolutely key item to have for this route to work. Here Silico breaks these pots to release the hound so they're in the big open area and easier to strafe around. After shanking this guy to get him out of the way, we're going to do 2 rolls at the top of the stairs to dodge a hidden enemy's attack and move the other enemy out of the way enough for us to pass. So in this run, there are what you could consider to be 3 major skips, and the first one is Armor Spider Skip. At the top of these stairs, Silico is going to run off a ledge, and because of a development oversight, he'll end up out of bounds. Once he rolls to drop off the little sand dune, he's going to angle himself in a specific direction, start running forward, and quit out of the game once he crosses a certain point. Which, speaking of quit outs, it's time for our recurring segment that we do every video. Tomatoanus' quick and quizzical quit out quiz, but it isn't a quiz, it's more of a lesson on quit outs to prepare you for a quiz later. You think I'm joking, but I'm not. There's going to be a quiz later. Also, I'm sure you can tell, but I kind of got lazy animating this text halfway through. Just ignore the decline in effort and also follow me on Twitter. My handle is @tomatoanus. We do this segment all the time. Also, this part is going to seem like we're aimlessly meandering for a bit, but it'll all come together at the end, I promise. So quitting out in Souls games has a few benefits. One example is skipping animations, where, say for example, there's a really big door that takes forever to open. By quitting out when the opening animation begins and then loading back in, then when you load back in, the door will be open, having fully skipped the door opening animation. This may seem like a loss of time since the loading screens take longer than the door animation, but in actuality it saves time because Souls speedruns are timed with in-game time, meaning only the time where the player is actually playing the game is accounted for, and things like loading times are counted out of the final time. This is mainly done to make sure every runner is playing on an even playing field, and that runners don't get better times by either luck of the draw with things like having a fast console when it comes to loading, or by having more money and being able to afford a faster computer. Something worth noting about quitouts in Demon's Souls is that there's 2 ways to do them. The first way is by quitting out to the main menu and then selecting to load back in as our character from the main menu, which is the standard way of quitting out throughout the Souls games, and in this game is often referred to as a full quit out. There's an option in Demon's Souls though to load a character straight from the in-game menu, letting us skip having to go to the main menu and just kind of reloading our character where they stand. We'll refer to this type of quit out as a character reload. Because character reloads skip going to the main menu, they're faster in real time but make no difference in game time, which is how the run is timed. Since they're faster in real time though, the quality of life with character reloads is slightly higher than full quit out since they allow runners to get back into the action sooner. There is one downside to character reloads though, which is that they take one additional input to perform when compared to doing a full quit out. Because of this one input advantage, Silico typically does full quit outs throughout the run to save a few frames each time. Sometimes though, he'll have enough time to pull up the menu and have it ready to quit out well in advance of when he actually needs to quit out. In these cases, he'll do a character reload since doing one less input won't save any time since he needs to wait after pulling up the menu anyways. In general, throughout the run, Silico will choose to do a full quit out or character reload depending on whether doing that one less input would save time. So another thing that quit outs are great for is resetting our position to our most recent stable ground position. Frequent viewers of the channel likely just vomited in their mouth a little. I know I did. Stable ground is a concept in From Software games, and for the most part is what it sounds like and what you would intuitively imagine it to be in a video game. Ground that isn't moving that you can stand on and walk on. Most places you can walk in this game are stable ground, with things like elevators, boss arenas, and air not being stable ground. While you walk around, the game is constantly updating your position based on what the most recent stable ground position you stood on was. If you quit out of the game and load back in, you respawn back at your most recent stable ground position. So now that we have all that knowledge, let's bring it all together. Silico will be out of bounds and running towards the edge of solid ground. Just before he gets to the ledge, he's going to perform a character reload, causing a tunnel to load in just below and past the ledge. This tunnel is a tunnel at the start of 2-2 that you gain access to after defeating the armor spider boss at the end of 2-1. When he loads back in after the character reload, Silico will then move forward off the ledge, land briefly on a top edge of the tunnel, and then perform another character reload as he slides and falls off. Silico touching the tunnel this way updated his most recent stable ground position to the tunnel. When he loads back in, for some reason he spawns out of bounds on the tunnel again, but by doing a full quit out, then when he loads in again, he'll spawn inbounds at the start of 2-2, fully skipping the armor spider fight. In all, armor spider skip saves around 3 minutes and 40 seconds compared to going through the level and boss fight with our current character build. So to recap, here Silico runs off this ledge to go out of bounds, then when he lands on the sand he drops down the dune, then angles himself and prepares for the character reload and does it just before he's at the ledge. When he loads back in, he moves forward to fall off the ledge, bounces off the tunnel, and does a character reload. When he loads in again, he does another full quit out to respawn in bounds, completing armor spider skip and bringing us to 2-2. We're about to perform a quick item dupe on our sticky white stuff. This type of item dupe is done by rolling, queuing an item to be used as soon as the roll ends, which in this case is the sticky white stuff, then menuing to a different item and selecting to use that item as the roll ends. This causes the effect of the first item to be applied, which here is the magic damage of the sticky white stuff, while consuming the item we used in the menu, which in this case is a crescent moongrass. This will happen pretty much right after we unpause right now. There's another type of item dupe that we'll be doing soon, but first we need to get the items that we'll be duping, which are upgrade materials for our battle axe. These upgrade materials are always dropped by the scale miner we just killed, and he's the reason why we did the item dupe, so we could kill him quickly with our dagger while also not losing a sticky white stuff in the process. Every time Silico lands here, he performs what's called a fall cancel, where he toggles his weapon and mashes circle, which prioritizes the weapon toggling animation over the superhero landing animation. All these falls take out a lot of our health, so on the ground we're going to grab 4 full moon grasses and use 1 to fully regen our health before the fight against Flame Lurker. We don't need to heal before the fight against Flame Lurker, it's perfectly possible to beat him while at low health, but he's really RNG heavy and can jump around and jump into you, dealing damage, so better safe than sorry. As soon as we enter the fog gate, we'll skip the cutscene and begin the fight by running to a set position on the ground to use a sticky white stuff, with us being as far into the arena as we can be to get the boss to notice us while being far enough away to back out of the way of potential melee attacks from Flame Lurker. With sticky white stuff, each dagger attack does 99 damage per hit, while a naked dagger would only deal 8 damage per hit against Flame Lurker. Flame Lurker has 4 main attacks he can do, and in this run he really only did one of them, which is the hand swipe attack. This attack is pretty much the best case scenario since it can easily be avoided and it gives us plenty enough time to just hack away with our magical butter knife. Once we wholly whittle away his well-being with our whittle weapon, we get moving out of the boss arena and onto 2-3. 2-3 is actually the first archdemon of the run, Dragon God. Dragon God is mainly a puzzle boss who screams and attacks in response to seeing us since he hates our fit with the flower pot helmet. Our goal is to traverse the area while jumping from cover to cover so as to not be seen for too long and cause an attack. While dodging attacks from Dragon God, we'll make our way to a couple ballistae that we'll use to shoot him. Just because it's a puzzle boss though, doesn't mean that this fight is without strategy. Right away, Silico sticks to the right hand side before taking a right, which makes the boss do an additional scream, giving us enough time to get past the location of its first attack before it actually does the attack. We then use a full moongrass to heal up and make Dragon God de-aggro faster so we can move sooner, and here Silico hesitated a moment before sprinting again on his way to the first ballista. This makes it so that after skipping the ballista firing cutscene, we'll have what's referred to as a good cycle, where instead of slowly running behind cover again, we can hop over this railing to go out of bounds and cut across the boss arena without waiting for Dragon God to de-aggro and also skipping 3 sets of debris that we'd have to knock down. This is caused by our ballista shot hitting Dragon God while he was doing a melee attack, which made him wince in pain and throws off the timing so that we'll be in a safe spot when he attacks next. After interacting with this next ballista and skipping the cutscene where we 360 no-scope Dragon God, we'll head down some stairs and grab the Master's Ring, which gives 15% extra damage if you hit an enemy with the sweet spot of your weapon, but decreases damage otherwise. As we approach Dragon God, we do an animation cancel by using our last sticky white stuff while we're standing on a ledge and sliding off, which cancels the application animation. Silico then just unloads on the boss with a bunch of R1 attacks to round out the fight. Also, we immediately equip the Master's Ring in the right-hand ring spot since we'll be swapping rings around a bit throughout the run, and the right-hand spot is the fastest to menu to repeatedly. Once we've killed Dragon God, that means we've officially killed our first Archdemon. While waiting for Dragon God to die, Silico unequipped his head and chest pieces so we take more damage at a later point since we'll be getting a ring soon that provides bonus damage while we're at low health. Upon our return to the Nexus, we immediately use the Dragon Demon Soul, adding an additional 26,400 souls to our total. We're now about to perform the major item duplication glitch in the run. There's an NPC in the Nexus named Stockpile Thomas, and we can give him items from our inventory to hold on to for us. He's essentially just a storage chest for the player to put any extra stuff. Earlier we got one of our needed upgrade materials from a hoplite in the Phalanx fight, which was a shard of hardstone, and we got the other two needed upgrade materials from that one scale miner, which are a large hardstone shard and a chunk of hardstone. We only have one of each of these upgrade materials, and we need a lot more. We're going to be using Stockpile Thomas to get 99 of each of these upgrade materials so that we can upgrade our battle axe a shit ton. Before we perform the item duplication glitch though, we first have to set it up. This is done by, in rapid succession, parrying, pressing square to queue up using Nexial binding, pressing start to open the menu, and pressing X to go into the inventory screen. If done correctly, then the inventory screen will be up along with the prompt for the Nexial binding asking us if we'd like to forfeit our souls in return. This indicates that the glitch is set up properly and that we can go on to the next step. After exiting out of that menu and then talking to Thomas to store items, we'll menu over to where our upgrade materials are located. Silico will then press X to select the shard of hardstone, bringing up the prompt to select the number to transfer. By pressing X to confirm the prompt and deposit our one shard of hardstone, then for some reason, over 99 are deposited into Stockpile Thomas's stockpile. Pressing X on the prompt to deposit also queues up the Nexial binding for use, so as soon as he presses X, then Silico has to press circle right away. This cancels the actual use of Nexial binding despite the animation still playing out. After canceling the animation, we're still in the dialogue with Thomas, so we have to spam X to skip through it and then press circle again to back out of his menu completely. Performing the dupe resets the glitch's setup, so after he's out of Thomas's dialogue, Silico has to set the glitch back up by performing the parry, queuing up Nexial binding, and going to the inventory screen again. This will set him up to dupe the large hardstone shard, and after that one's duped, then he'll perform it one more time for the chunk of hardstone. This glitch works on any item that you can have more than one of, as long as the item you're duping isn't already in storage. After duping all 3 upgrade materials, we're going to head over and talk to Blacksmith Boldwin to upgrade our battle axe to +9 and our longbow to +8. Some of you may be asking how we're able to upgrade our weapons if all our upgrade materials are deposited in storage. In Demon Souls, you don't need to be carrying the materials to upgrade your weapon. They can be in storage and they'll be used straight from there. When Silico approached Boldwin and began talking to him, he made sure to stand as far away from him as he could. That way, after the upgrading is all finished, Boldwin won't talk to us anymore since we're out of range. Once we're done spending our counterfeit hardstones, we're going to speak with the Maiden in Black, who will give us a Blue Eye Stone and White Eye Stone for defeating Phalanx. These are multiplayer items that won't work since we're playing offline, but the White Eye Stone will have a use later on. We'll then talk with the Maiden again to level up. Flashing lights warning real quick, close your eyes if you're photosensitive. Silico levels his endurance up once to 14 to have enough stamina for a combo against a future boss, then dumps the rest into strength, which increases the damage of our bow and axe. Alright, flashing lights are over. For our next area, we head to 3-1, which is the land of Latria, more specifically the Tower of Latria. The reason why we're heading here next is to get the Clever Rat's Ring, which increases our attack power by 50% when our health is below 30%. It's an absolutely busted item to have in the speedrun. So the Tower of Latria is littered with enemies called Mind Flayers who die in one hit to our battle axe if we do a two-handed running attack. This is why you see Silico two-handing the weapon here, to smack any Mind Flayers if they get in the way. The direction for progression is actually back next to where we started, but that way is blocked by a locked gate, and the keys to the gate are on the other side of the area, which is where we're making our way to now. As soon as we grab the keys, then we use the Nexial binding to go back to the Nexus, where we'll then run back to the 3-1 Archstone and travel back to the starting spot of the area. This is because it's faster to go to the Nexus and load back in at the start of the area than turning around and running all the way across the area to get to the gate that we need to open. When he loads back into 3-1, Silico is going to hang a right to get to the gate we need to open, and rather than run straight at the middle of it and interact with it, he's going to interact with it as far to the left as he can. To skip the gate opening animation, we're going to do a full quit out, and for some reason, if you interact with the gate in the middle and do a quit out, then there's a chance you'll load back in a handful of paces behind where you were standing. Silico found that by interacting with the gate as far left as possible, then when you load back in, you'll always be standing at the gate where you should be. At the top of these stairs, we'll hug the railing on the right as we regain stamina, which baits a prisoner to move towards us, who we then strafe around, avoiding the possibility of him body blocking us. Our goal right now is to get to the bottom floor of the tower, and we're currently on the 4th floor, so to quickly go down 3 levels, we're going to perform what's called Latria Skip. Silico will sprint into a railing to gain speed, then run through a gap in the rail to drop down. He weapon toggles to cancel the landing animation and cuts across the corner to the neighboring ledge, where he angles himself and stands in a certain spot, then backsteps to drop down again and rolls when he lands to drop to the 1st floor, completing the skip. In all, Latria Skip saves just over 1 minute. Also, glitchless categories actually perform this skip as well, since the community doesn't consider it a glitch, just some rolls onto railings and ledges. We're now in the area where the Clever Rats ring is located, but it's guarded by constant waves of arrows that are shot at us. Silico will roll through the arrow waves to the ring, where he then stands directly over the ring as he picks it up, causing him to intentionally get hit by 2 arrows, bringing his health down just far enough to get the ring's benefit once he equips it, because again, it increases our damage by 50% when our health is below 30%. You can now see the rat symbol below our health bar, indicating that our health is low enough for the ring's effect to be active. So we're about ready to fight the next boss, which is the Fool's Idol. If you go straight to this boss and fight her, then it ends up being an endless battle, since there's a prisoner above the arena doing some magic that causes the Fool's Idol to revive endlessly. Right now we're headed to take out that prisoner, and along the way, Silico lowers his camera sensitivity by a few levels. This is because we're going to use our longbow to take out the prisoner, and Silico has an easier time lining up the shot quickly while his sensitivity is lower. After the first arrow lands, the prisoner will do one of 2 things. He'll either begin to run straight at us, or he won't. In this run, he began to run, meaning we could kill him with just 2 arrows thanks to him taking counter damage, which is bonus damage if you or an NPC get hit while running or attacking. Also, something worth noting is that there's no bonus damage for landing headshots in this game. After dropping down, Silico will run forward a bit and trigger the cutscene for the boss fight, which spawns the fog gate to the boss. So remember earlier when I said that Silico leveled his endurance up once to 14 to have enough stamina for a combo against a future boss? Silico levels his endurance up once to 14 to have enough stamina for a combo against a future boss. Well, the Fool's Idol is the boss I was referring to, because once we begin the fight, we'll throw out a double R1 followed by a double R2, which kills the Fool's Idol in 1 stamina bar. After the fight, we re-equip our top 2 armor pieces, so if we get hit at all, we'll take less damage and be less likely to die as we run around with our health so low. So 3-2 is a physically enormous area that requires a lot of running. In this area is a giant heart suspended in the air by a bunch of chains. The heart is blocking our way to the next boss and area, so we need to make it stop doing that because that's annoying. To do that, we have to kill 2 separate groups of prisoners that are performing some sort of rite around the chains supporting the heart. Like I just said, this is an enormous area, and it takes a lot of running to get to both groups of prisoners. That doesn't mean that this stretch is without strategy though. After running through the archway up ahead, Silico is going to run up a set of stairs, and on those stairs, he's going to do a full quit out in a specific spot. Quitting out resets the cycle of the elevators in the area, and by quitting out where Silico does, it times it out so that when he arrives at the first elevator, he won't have to wait for it at all and can ride it immediately. Additionally, when he does eventually ride the elevator, he's going to pull up his settings again and change his camera sensitivity back to what it was before. The first prisoner group that we have to kill is located near the top of the elevator we'll be riding up, and we're going to take them all out with a few quick R1 attacks. Something worth mentioning that you may notice is that after R1 attacks, Silico occasionally will raise his shield. Holding to raise your shield after an attack truncates the recovery animation from your attack a little bit, making you able to act out of each attack slightly faster. Alternatively, you can also toggle your weapon to truncate the recovery animation. After we take out the prisoners and skip the cutscene of the first chain breaking off the heart, we'll then trigger an elevator cage ride down, but back out of it before the door can close on us. This is because rather than ride inside the elevator, we're going to assert our dominance on this piece of metal by being the top that we are and standing on top of it. This is so that as the elevator ride approaches an end, we can just roll off of it and get going immediately, rather than having to wait for the elevator to come to a full stop and the door to open. While riding the elevator, we ate one crescent moongrass to heal up slightly while staying in range for the clever rat's ring, just so we have less of a chance to die if we get hit. The key to the area at the bottom of the elevator ride is being good with your stamina management and movement. We're currently on our way to another fucking elevator, and if things go off without a hitch, then we'll arrive at the elevator pretty much as it arrives and leaves. If, for whatever reason, you take too long getting to the elevator, then you'll miss the cycle. If you know that you're going to miss the cycle though, there is a spot where you can perform another quit out, which times it out so that you'll arrive at the elevator at the right time. In all, you have about 2 to 3 seconds of leeway when running through here, and if you lose any more time than that, then you better do the quit out backup strat. One common enemy in the area we're in are the man centipedes. Aside from sounding like a Golden Age comic book character, they're feisty little buggers who on rare occasions do a jump attack that's really hard to react to. For a specific man centipede hiding behind the red blobby pillar mass on the right up here, Silico prioritizes running close to its head, which makes that damned jump miss if the enemy decides to do it. When we eventually arrive at the next elevator, we're going to specifically stand in the front left corner of it as we ride it up. This manipulates the AI of a gargoyle at the top of the elevator and causes it to fall off the ledge the moment we reach the top. Watch the right side of the screen closely, you'll catch a glimpse of it as it falls. We follow up this gargoyle's untimely demise by hacking, whacking, and chopping the prisoners, performing the rite on the second chain, freeing the heart from its shackles. Fly free, heart. Fly free. Now that the heart is taken care of, Silico is going to run for 90 seconds to get to the next boss, so while he does that,
it's time for a quiz!
That's right, it's time for the second ever quiz here on the tomatoanus channel. I gave you a warning about it earlier, just ignore what I said about how we do this every video. The question is, what's the difference between a full quit out and a character reload? Is it A, character reload skip going to the main menu and R1 input faster? B, character reload skip going to the main menu and R1 input slower? C, full quit outs have higher quality of life and R1 input faster? D, full quit outs have faster loads but are 1 input slower? Or E, character reloads and full quit outs do the same thing and are the same speed? 5 seconds on the clock, leave your answer in the comments now. If you said C, then you're wrong, but if you said D, then you're also wrong. The answer is B. So this may seem like whiplash to go from the quiz to this, but I can't fit this anywhere else, so real quick, I'd just like to remind you all that no feeling is final. I know that at times it's hard to focus on anything other than whatever cloud is over your head, but just remember that that cloud cannot take tomorrow away from you. Nothing is insurmountable, and how you feel now does not define you, or tomorrow, or the rest of your life. There is a tomorrow, and you will be here for it. And not only that, but we'll all be glad that you're here. And don't be afraid to reach out for support amongst friends and family. So back to the run, we're about to enter the boss fight against Maneater, and when we do, we'll use Turpentine right away. Maneater's worst attack is a charge attack, where you can easily charge off the bridge we're on, causing him to fly around and lose a lot of time, so our priority is to make sure he doesn't charge off the bridge. Maneater has a tail we can knock off of him, but if we do and he's still alive after he recovers, then he typically charges off the bridge right away, so we only go to knock the tail off when we know we can kill him before he can do anything. After this blast attack and Maneater leaps past us, Silico targets the tail and is able to kill him before he has any time to do anything afterwards. Wait, hold on a second. By God, that's Maneater's music. Maneater is coming to avenge Maneater. Silico waits to attack him until he turns and faces us, that way if he charges at us, then he'll stay on the bridge. Silico felt the fight was going slowly at this point, so after this charge right here, he tried to yellow it and go for the tail a little early and ended up being just one hit from killing Maneater before he did another charge attack, but luckily he charged into a pillar which prevented him from going off the bridge and flying around. Now that the fight's over, we run on over to the far side of the bridge as we make our way to the next boss. We're about to run up a long staircase with a few man centipedes on it, and they're typically spread out and we have to R1 each of them individually to get past, but in this run we got a bit lucky and had the first and second one clumped up so we could take them both out with one hit. Also on this staircase are a couple Black Phantom Mind Flayers. Whenever one aggro's onto us, we run into the left wall to bait out their zappy energy ball attack and have it hit the wall, then perform a running R1 to stagger them back. When we get to the top of the stairs, we'll enter the next boss fight, which is against Old Monk. For this fight, if we kill Tornado Face with either a backstab or with fire on our weapon, then we get a faster death animation. This is actually similar to Bloodborne, where killing Ludwig with fire makes his death animation faster as well. The fastest method of killing Old Monk is to backstab, since we don't lose time to applying turpentine, so after 4 R1 attacks, Silico strafes and backstabs the man with the Tasmanian Devil spinning in place on his shoulders. This marks our second of 5 Archdemon kills in the run. After warping out to return to the Nexus, Silico is going to interact with the Archstone to go to 5-1. The main reason why we're heading to 5-1 next is because of the Cat's Ring, which nullifies fall damage unless it's a fall that would kill. This ring makes an upcoming skip called Old Hero Skip possible. According to Silico, this entire area is super annoying because of the enemies, and I believe him. I mean, look at it. It's like a beta version of Blighttown. We need to go down several floors quickly, and to do so, we're going to do what's called a slope quit out. When he lands here, Silico will walk slowly off this ledge, and oh fuck, never mind. An enemy hit us and messed up the glitch. Because of this, we have to go down the old-fashioned way of dropping down all the individual levels. If the enemy hadn't hit us, then Silico would have dropped a great distance onto a slope and quit out the moment he landed, canceling his fall damage. But like Silico said, this area is super annoying because of the enemies, and that one messing us up like that is entirely RNG. Dropping down how we did is about 7 to 8 seconds slower in game time compared to doing a slope quit out. Here we'll run past some turkey looking guys, and after doing a running attack on a normal sized one, we're going to approach some big red sacks that we roll into twice to push out of the way so we can access a bridge. Here we go turkey hunting real quick to take out 2 that are in the way so they don't block us at all, since if they did, it'd buy a huge turkey and back just enough time to run onto the bridge and completely block us. Also, now that we've passed them, it's safe to tell you that those giant red sacks were actually giant ticks, and that was their blood pouch or whatever you want to call it. I wanted to save you that info until well after the fact because they're really nasty to look at if you know what they are. Here Silico tried to do an animation cancel by sliding off the ledge while applying turpentine, but he stood just a little too far to the left and didn't slide off. There isn't really a strat for this boss. We do so much damage that the fight is pretty much just spamming R1 and hoping that Leechmonger doesn't decide to heal after our first combo. So if you were disappointed that you didn't get to see a slope quit out earlier because of that one enemy pushing us, well, you're in luck because we're going to perform one just ahead. Silico is going to walk off a ledge, pull up the menu to quit out, and do a full quit out the moment he lands. We do a full quit out as opposed to a character reload since the overlay for a full quit out is smaller, letting us see when we land more clearly. The timing for this isn't too bad, but it's still a bit precise. When we load back in, then we load in on the ground where we landed, since that's the most recent place where we've touched stable ground. When we load back in, we'll get moving into some muck that will poison us, and we make sure to heal before we get fully poisoned, because if you heal while poisoned, you don't get healed for as much. Additionally, being at full health and poisoned right now kinda works out for us, since once we're below 30%, we'll be able to use a Royal Lotus to cure our poison and be in Clever Rat's ring range. In a moment, we'll unequip our turpentine so that we have 2 free slots. That way, the next 2 consumables we pick up will be equipped automatically. When running through the muck, Silico constantly toggles between 2-handing his weapon and 1-handing it, as every time the swap happens, he regains a tiny bit of stamina, letting him move at max speed in the muck a little bit longer. We can't roll while in the swamp, which isn't a big deal aside from with this Black Phantom up here, who's a big reset point since we can't roll to dodge her attacks. This is why we take such a wide berth around her on our way to the item ahead of us. After avoiding the Metal Cleaver Black Phantom, we finally arrive at and pick up the Cat's Ring that we came here for, followed by picking up some Black Turpentine, which is like regular Turpentine but black. It also deals more fire damage than regular Turpentine but doesn't last as long. We're then going to run through some more muck past some jellyfish thingies, and when we exit the muck, we'll grab another item which is 3 Royal Lotuses, which again, cure poison when used. Silico will then glance back to see if the Metal Cleaver Black Phantom is nearby, which holy fuck, there she is, run, 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 run. After going through this fog gate, we're going to drop down and back into the muck and pick up yet another item that's on some land, with this one being the Thief's Ring. This ring makes it harder for enemies to detect us, which is crucial for areas coming up like the little village we're going to be running through shortly. Silico is about to go on his last long trek in the muck of the swamp, and once he eventually wades out of it, he'll use a Royal Lotus to cure his poison, stopping his health from draining and making us all Peter Pettigrew again. Silico always aims to use the Lotus as soon as he enters Rat Ring range, since 30% health is still a considerable amount of health and is a nice buffer to have where we can still take a hit or 2 and survive. The easiest way to tell when you're below 30% health is to just look below the health bar for when the rat icon that I pointed out earlier appears. Up ahead on this stretch of land, we're going to be running between 2 of the giant turkey guys, and we're going to try to react and roll to not get hit. There isn't really much of a strat to it, and Silico considers it to be a pretty scary part. It's scary just because it's super dangerous though, and not because the turkey guys look like the turkey from the awful movie Thanksgiving. Now that we're past them, we'll cross through this fog gate, and when we do, we equip the Thief's Ring in place of the Master's Ring, since this is the little village area I mentioned a moment ago. If you're doing a run and don't equip the Thief's Ring in this part, then you must have a death wish, because the mini turkeys in this area would then swarm around you since they notice you easier, and they have a combo where they run at you and do an attack that staggers you even if your shield is up. This deadly combo is still pretty common with the Thief's Ring equipped, but the ring does still reduce the chance of it. With our current health, the combo is a guaranteed death. Plus, because of how quick these turkeys move, they're really hard to react to, which makes this section of the run a big reset point. When he enters the fog gate up ahead to enter the boss fight against Dirty Colossus, Silico re-equips the Master's Ring in place of the Thief's Ring, uses a black turpentine, and prepares himself in case he needs to use a full moongrass. For this boss, we do 4 R1 attacks, then strafe his attack and hit him with 4 more to finish the fight, but he does have an attack where he randomly shoots flies at you, and he can do it even after he dies, so if you get hit by that attack, then you have to heal for safety. In the back of the arena, there's a hole that we're going to drop down that leads us pretty much to the next boss. Silico performs an animation cancel here with black turpentine, and somehow he doesn't take fall damage due to how he bounced around and rolled on the slopes. This brings us to the boss fight against Maiden Astraea, which is a pretty unique fight to say the least. She sits in the back of the arena protected by both her bodyguard, Garl Vinland, and a pool of muck that applies the plagued status effect, which is pretty much super strong and fast-acting poison. We have to take out Garl first, which is done by simply rolling past him, backstabbing him, spamming through his dialogue, and chopping him down. We have to heal after killing him because otherwise we won't survive being plagued, but we have to mash through all his dialogue before healing because if you heal during the dialogue, then there's a chance that we won't actually get healed. To take care of Maiden Astraea then, all we have to do is talk to her where she tells us that she can no longer defend herself and pulls a Yoda on us. After talking to her, Silico warps back to the Nexus as quickly as he can, finishing up 5-3 and checking Archdemon number 3 off our list. The next area we'll be warping to and tackling is 4-1, which is the Shrine of Storms area. Coming up is what Silico calls, quote, the worst skip in the run by far, unquote. It's called 4-1 skip, and the reason why it's so bad is because of the RNG associated with it. Pretty much we're going to run up a long flight of stairs with several silver skeletons on it that are going to try to attack us, and at the top we're going to roll from the lip on the left side of the stairs onto a slope of a neighboring cliff face. The awful RNG comes from the skeletons easily interrupting the process, but also the roll is super easy to mess up. In all, that skip saves around 3 to 4 seconds. Inside up here, we run up some stairs to get to the walkway on the wall where we're going to break a silver skeleton's ankles and then perform another skip. This skip also has us just performing a roll, with us rolling off the wooden platform at the top of the stairs on the far end of the wall to defy gravity and roll over the ledge of the wall. This drops us down and skips a ton of running, saving around 22 seconds. Let the dichotomy of this skip and 4-1 skip be a lesson to all you whippersnappers out there that the difficulty of a trick has absolutely no relation to how much time it saves. Here we intentionally take damage from an arrow trap to get into Clever Rat's ring range in preparation for the boss fight against Adjudicator. Silico will wait a small bit before attacking because if you attack too early, then your hits don't stagger, so ideally we wait until Adjudicator starts doing an attack for us to attack. 2 hits to his side stagger, then 2 two-handed R1 attacks and 1 two-handed R2 kill him. Also, side note, I'm writing and recording this before Elden Ring drops, and all I want from that game is for it to have another big gold boy whose name is a play on the word jury, so that way we can complete the similar looking trinity of judge, jury, and executioner. After the fight, Silico equipped the cat's ring, which you can see is active thanks to the cat symbol below our health, which I just fucking love that that's in the official game. Big Dota 2 alpha phase ability icon vibes. Google it if you don't know what I mean. So coming up is a big skip called Old Hero Skip. Here we'll run off a cliff and fall for a few seconds with Silico performing a character reload the instant we land. Because we're wearing the cat's ring, there's a slight delay between when we land and the damage incurring. By quitting out the moment we touch the ground, the game has enough time to update that location as our most recent stable ground position, but not enough time to kill us. This means we load back in out of bounds where we landed, and with some specific pathing to avoid getting stuck, we can get back in bounds at the fog gate for the archdemon of this area. In all, it skips pretty much all of 4-2 and saves just under 2 minutes. This boss fight is against Storm King, which is the big ol' stingray in the sky. In order to actually fight Storm King, we need to kill 6 smaller stingrays flying around, and if we kill them too slowly, then we miss a cycle with Storm King's movement and have to wait until he flies all the way around the arena again before he decides to attack us. It's kind of RNG with how the small stingrays aggro onto you. Sometimes none of them will come at you at the beginning, and then near the end they absolutely dogpile on you and attack you all at once. After taking out the 6th one, Silico swapped the cat's ring for the thief's ring. We're going to run to a specific spot, zigzagging in the process to dodge potential attacks, and once he gets to said spot, he's going to wait for Storm King to fly down close to us. While we wait, it's possible for the other stingrays to attack us, but by having the thief's ring equipped, then they won't notice us where we stand, unless we get really unlucky, in which case one can either interrupt us or kill us while we shoot at Storm King. As soon as Storm King swoops down, we simply lock onto him and let loose our arrows, taking him out pretty quickly. As soon as the message appears on screen saying that we've defeated him, then we warp back to the Nexus, wrapping up this area and defeating our 4th Archdemon. When we load back in, we make our way to the first Archstone and warp to 1-2, bringing the whole run full circle with us doing this area both first and last. When we load in, Silico is going to do something called the transition warp, where once he crosses a certain point, which in this case is the stone threshold of the archway in front of him, he does a quit out. When we load back in, then for some reason, the game loads us in further up ahead in the area. It's not like it loads us in all the way across the area, just a bit ahead of where we were, and in this case it saves around 5 seconds or so. Before heading outside up ahead, Silico will unequip his Thief's Ring. The bridge we're about to cross has 3 sections divided by 2 wall towers, and there are some enemies on the second part of the bridge we want to aggro onto us sooner because it makes them easier to get past. The dragon from Shrek Forever After shows up here to breathe fire along whatever section of the bridge we're on. By performing a quit out just before exiting the first section, then when we load back in, the dragon from Shrek Forever After will go to breathe fire on the first section, since that's where we are when we and the dragon from Shrek Forever After both load in, despite us leaving that section immediately. This makes it so that we for sure won't get hit by the dragon from Shrek Forever After's fire, which would lose us time. These 4 Jackalodians up ahead who start running at us here are the enemies I mentioned a moment ago whom we unequipped our Thief's Ring for. And yeah, I just used the word whom. Get over it, I'm fancy like that. After going through this fog gate up here, we're going to be approaching the end of the bridge where there are some crossbow guys and we want them to aggro onto us early as well. This is because we're going to use a black turpentine on our dagger and we want to get hit by one of their bolts as we're applying it, which cancels us out of the animation, and it's easier to time the turpentine use if they're firing earlier. After running past all these enemies, we'll enter the fog gate to the next boss and re-equip the Thief's Ring, as there are a bunch of crossbow guys overlooking this boss arena whom we want shooting at us as little as possible. And yeah, I just used whom again. Get fucked. This fight is against Tower Knight, and we're using the dagger since it only takes 3 turpentined hits to each ankle to stagger, and the dagger attacks super fast. After slicing the knight's Achilles tendons, Silico swaps to his battle axe and delivers 3 R1 blows to kill the boss. To leave this arena, we have to interact with the archstone that spawns, and while waiting for it to spawn, we get absolutely pummeled by the crossbow guys that we didn't want hitting us earlier. This is good though, because it brings us down close to rat ring range, and also they hit us out of the animation of interacting with the archstone. After running past this fountain with all the crows, we want to make sure we have full stamina before climbing the staircase. This is because near the top there's a trigger that sends some flaming boulders down, and we want to make sure we have enough stamina to roll into iframe through the boulder. This is immediately followed by us turning to the right and doing a full quit out, which resets some enemies to their spawn position so they'll be behind us and not blocking the doorway we need to run through. When we load back in, we're going to run forward to a ledge where we'll drop down slightly onto a stone railing, then immediately roll back and to the right to drop down to a walkway below. This part is way scarier than it looks because of an enemy with a spear who can attack you if you get bad RNG and he times his attack correctly, which can cause you to fall into the nearby water and die. The fall damage we took from the drop gets our health just low enough to be in Clever Rat's ring range. For this flaming boulder here, we need to roll twice in a row to be able to iframe it. So like I just mentioned, we're back in rat ring range, but run to run, the amount of health you have right now isn't consistent because of the fact that the crossbow guys earlier can either hit or miss additional shots. We'll be crossing paths with some more crossbow guys in a little bit though, so if our health isn't low enough, then Silico would intentionally take damage from them to get below 30% health. I'm not talking about the guys on the right here though. To get hit by them, we would have actually needed to stop moving for a second or two to let them hit us. At the top of these stairs, we iframe yet another boulder that these dudes just keep thinking will hit us. Stuff like this makes me start to believe the enemies in this game are kinda inept. Also, these guys up ahead are the crossbow guys we'd intentionally take damage from if our health wasn't low enough. Something worth noting is that this whole stretch we've been running through is made a lot nicer by the fact we're wearing the Thief's Ring so that we aren't drawing as much aggro from enemies. Up ahead, we'll drop down and head up some stairs on the right that are littered with enemies, and it's a really annoying part due to enemies often throwing out attacks that are really hard to dodge and react to. In this run, we got awful RNG, with just so many attacks coming so close to landing, or with one actually landing that has us walking out of the encounter as a whole with like 1 or 2 HP. Silico looks back to keep an eye out for any bolts that were shot after he passed the crossbow guy, since even far up the staircase, there's a chance that a bolt can hit and kill us. As he enters the fog gate to the next boss, Silico quickly swaps out the Thief's Ring for the Master's Ring. For this fight, the general strategy is to go in and out of Penetrator's range to bait out attacks, and once he does a certain one, we close the distance and hit him with 4 R1 attacks. We then back off and perform the same strategy again, and here we got the second best attack pattern twice in a row, where the second move he does is the one we exploit. Makes up for that fiasco we were thrown into on the stairs before the fight. After the fight, Silico re-equipped the Thief's Ring and marches on to the final section of this area and towards the penultimate boss of the game. This part is pretty straightforward, with it being a lot of running, and in a moment we'll be going inside and running up a bunch of stairs. At the top of the stairs is a knight that's super annoying that you typically running attack and then roll past, but in this run he aggroed onto Silico earlier than normal, so he was down further on the stairs than ideal, so we had to hit him twice to get him out of the way. After dealing with the annoying knight, we head back outside where the dragon from Shrek Forever After has made her return. We wait for her to fire breath the walkway and move as soon as we see the enemy ahead take damage. The enemy that got damaged is one of the reasons why we re-equipped the Thief's Ring, because if we weren't wearing it, then it'll aggro onto us while we're waiting for the fire breath. Here we have a brief stint in a building before heading back outside, and when we exit, we want to make sure we have full stamina so that we're able to outrun the dragon from Shrek Forever After's fire breath that she breathes at us on the stairs ahead. After running up the carpeted stairs in front of us, we'll be face to face with a black phantom named Ostrava in what's got to be one of the most dramatic duel settings possible. Silico makes sure that he has enough stamina to throw out a running R1 and to perform a double roll, because there's a chance that Ostrava could block our attack and throw out one of his own, and then we'd need to roll twice to avoid it. We then go to ride an elevator up, and on the ride we consume 1 Crescent Moongrass because as badass as it is to have 2 HP, we're close to the end of the run and would rather not risk it. Silico also does a bit of menuing here to equip the White Eye Stone, move the Black Turpentine, equip the Master's Ring, and unequip his shield. The unequipping of our shield is just because we won't be using it anymore and we have a lot of time to kill, so why not? And the White Eye Stone is a multiplayer item that won't have an effect since we're playing offline, so if we try to use it, it has a little shrug animation as if our character is telling us we're dumb. Similar to in Bloodborne, using consumables during the fight against Old King Olant causes him to act more aggressively as a method of dissuading passive play, so Silico will use the White Eye Stone during the fight to bait out Olant's jump attack. Olant opened the fight with a charge attack that actually hits us, so that heal in the elevator came in handy, and after getting 2 hits in, Silico backs up and uses the Eye Stone to bait a jump attack from Olant. Olant also does an AoE attack where he charges up a white glow with his sword, which is good for us because we can circle behind him and hit him a couple times to stagger him out of it. Silico uses the Eye Stone again to try and bait a jump attack, but Olant began charging up another AoE attack, letting us get a few more hits in. After backing up, we then use the Eye Stone again to bait out a jump attack, but we can only get 1 hit in before having to dodge a quick attack. Olant then ended up doing an AoE attack, which gives us the opening we need to kill him, wrapping up 1-4 into all areas of the game, leaving just the final boss. When he goes to warp out of the arena and back to the Nexus, Silico makes sure that he doesn't warp too early, because if you do, then the game can soft lock where the end sequence won't trigger and we won't be able to beat the game. This has happened to Silico a few times in the past and is just an absolute punch to the gut since it's right at the end of the run. In the Nexus, we spoke to the Maiden in Black, which initiates the end sequence of the game and brings us to the Dark Bramble from Outer Wilds. The final boss is waiting for us inside of the bramble, and there's a bunch of sticks and branches we have to roll through. Once we get through all of them, we'll be at the fog gate, and while he traverses, Silico will unequip all his armor so that he'll take more damage and hopefully set up the clever rat's ring real quick. This fight is against the true King Olant, who's been turned into a blob thing, and after 4 R1 attacks, Silico uses Black Turpentine and lets the king hit him to cancel the animation. After 4 more hits, he runs at King Olant and hopes he'll get hit and take counter damage to go into rat ring range, but the king attacked later than normal, so no rat ring range for this run unfortunately. After delivering the final blow, Silico will run into the white light, waiting for the game to update the area and make sure that the next seal binding is ready and also that he has the dagger equipped. That's because it has the fastest rolling attack out of our weapons, and after loading back in, we perform a rolling attack to kill the maiden in black, then use the next seal binding, which gives us the bad ending of the game and officially ends the run. We're now technically in New Game Plus. Something interesting I'd like to bring up is that if you check your final time with the character loading screen, it only shows hours and minutes for your time and not seconds, which obviously isn't very ideal when having tight competition on a leaderboard. If you're playing on PS3 though, you can go into the Pantheon, which is an area at the top of the Nexus. In there, you'll be able to check your exact time, but in order to enter the Pantheon, you have to be online, and 2 or 3 years ago, the servers for this game were shut down. Luckily, someone who goes by the username YMGVE was able to gather enough info and data to recreate the game's servers, and was able to get a test server running around when the servers for the game went offline. YMGVE wasn't interested in making the server permanent, so another person who goes by the username UV took over and has kept the server going ever since, so anyone doing runs on PS3 can connect to that to know what their exact final time is. If you're playing on emulator though, then the widely used timer live split works perfectly fine for finding your final time, and servers aren't an issue. If you'd like to read more about it, there's an article on IGN written about the server situation that I've linked in the description. So if you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much on behalf of both myself and Silico. And also, I'd like to say thank you a million times over to Silico for helping make this video possible. Silico and I had an extended call going over all the details and intricacies of the run, a ton of which there was no time or way to cover in this video, and the dude is just a treasure trove of knowledge about this run. If you want to check out more of his runs, then please check out his channel, link is in the description. Similarly, if you want to see more speedruns of Demon's Souls or the Soulsborne series as a whole, then check out speedsouls.com. It's an enormous speedrunning community for the series with a ton of speedruns and resources available on the website, and again, the community's huge, like pretty much there's always over 2,000 people online in the community's Discord server. They also host events from time to time like charity marathons, so keep an eye out for those as well. Additionally, thank you to everyone who supports the channel on Patreon. Your support helps make these videos possible. For as little as $1 a month, you get access to videos early and without ads, updates on what videos are in production, where videos are at in the creation process, and taking part in things like polls where you can vote on runs to be covered in future videos. Supporting the channel monetarily is completely unnecessary, but it's appreciated, so again, thank you to those of you who do it. And lastly, as always, check out the tomatoanus Discord server. I've never been one to be too active on Discord, but we have a community we've grown there over time of a bunch of lovely people who are always down to chat about something and support each other. That's all for this video though. This was an any % speedrun of the original Demon's Souls. I've been tomatoanus, and I hope you have an above average day.